be fun.
Right.
All
Buckle.
right.
I've got 10/11 very important questions to ask you. Now, I'm going to say, I think I know your answers to at least 8. No,
Okay. All
7.
right. Okay.
So don't be contrary just because you think I know. Just prove me wrong, all right? But I'm going to answer them. I'm going to ask them. You're going to answer them. And I'm going to see if you can spot the one that I threw in, which is actually a question from my podcast, which is insanely important.
Actually, before we start, I say to the guys watching, play along. Give me your answers in the chat. Be interested in to see what you guys come up with as well. Your 10 most
Yeah,
important questions. So pop them in the chat.
I think that should be, everyone should do that. There's a post in that that's going to light up, I reckon. Okay, are you ready?
Yep.
Question number 1. Beatles or Elvis?
Oh, I didn't expect that one. Um,
You wrote these, buddy.
yeah, I know. I wrote them because the first one's quite contrary. Do you know? Before I give you the answers, like, do you know why I wrote Beatles or Elvis?
Well, no.
Right. Well, it's Quentin Tarantino's one of his philosophies. You can define anybody by they're either a Beatles man or an Elvis man. It was a deleted scene from Pulp Fiction. And I loved that. It's like because you can. It's like Beatles, a certain type of personality, an Elvis fan, another different type of personality. So I'm absolutely Elvis, right? I think the Beatles are the most overrated group in the history of music, even more so than Take That.
Yeah, and I agree. And I said that, and everyone hates me for doing
Yeah.
it.
Whereas Elvis, a slightly dodgy, troubled genius, who put his faith and trust in people I don't think really had his back, but he was surrounded. He had a good team
Yeah.
around him, and I think he had a great voice.
Well, he had a great catsuit, let's not forget. Anyone wearing an all-in-one is definitely a kindred spirit of mine.
That's not my favorite Elvis. That's the kind of 1970s Hawaii Elvis, spit fat, eating too many peanut butter and fried peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. 1967 comeback special Elvis in the black leather.
Yeah. I mean,
That,
I'm not an Elvis specialist, but everyone knows these phases of Elvis,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. That was, and you got young Elvis with the attitude and the
I love young Elvis with the attitude. I'm still
yeah,
there. That's my gen right now.
yeah. And then you had TV Elvis, movie Elvis.
Yeah, that's
And
not my
all the same story.
favorite. Hello, this is about me. I'm Elvis. We just wove some other characters
Yeah.
around me.
He made loads of money. And very last little point about Elvis, right, is his from a commercial point of view, Colonel Tom Parker is an absolute genius. He made money out of releasing a set of badges which said "I hate Elvis."
Oh, wow.
You knew the people out there who hated Elvis, so he made badges saying "I hate Elvis" and sold those as well. So he made money off people who hated Elvis. Genius or what?
All publicity is good publicity.
Absolutely.
I mean, so we had split because Amy and Lisa have both answered the question, and unfortunately, your New Zealand compatriot has written Beatles, and then she wrote "lol, I retract." So I think she's probably out of the group now.
She's considered her response and gone, actually, he has a point about Elvis.
Yeah. Okay, number 2,
Stunned. Right, got it.
Superman or Batman?
Ooh, Superman or Batman? Do you know what? It depends on the day. I'm 95, no, most 9 times out of 10, Batman. Right?
Yeah.
I'm a Bat fan. Every now and again, everyone needs a Man of Steel.
Yeah, but I think nobody needs a man that's like allergic to some sort of weird rock.
Yeah. Well, what you mean, Kryptonite?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And where's his
That's
pants?
my toddler way of describing Superman. He's a
Where's his
man.
pants on the outside? But also, the interesting part of that question, though, is they are actually you can get very philosophical about it because they are both the two sides of humanity. There was one beautiful quote once that says that Superman was the American dream, Batman is the American truth.
Mm.
And how they created Batman was they basically took all of Superman's assets, essentially, almost practically immortal, unlimited superpowers, alien, and flipped it. And no superpowers, vulnerable, human,
Mhm.
created Batman, which is pretty good, pretty clever, I think.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of those kind of like, oh yeah, what you pick says a lot about you. And I'm like, just don't psychoanalyze me by the comics I like. Because I just read the comics that Richard sends
That
me.
sends you, yeah. I haven't sent you the latest one yet. I'm a
No,
birthday behind.
I'm just about to start The Watchmen, so I'm behind on my reading because it took me to
Okay.
finish Preacher, and I was so disturbed by it that I had to just take a break.
But now you think you're in an elite club who have read Preacher.
Yeah, I know, and my boyfriend totally judged me reading that in bed because I mean, it is graphic, but
For those of you
anyway.
who don't know about Preacher, you need to check it out. I'll tell you this little story about. I met Glenn Fabry, does the artwork on the covers for Preacher. Met him in Worthing of all places. And I'm sure he's a nice guy. Just at that time, he rubbed me up the wrong way, and he was a little bit up himself. It was more his handler. He had this like hype man with him who was like, "This is Glenn Fabry, the legendary Glenn Fabry," and I was there with my kids, a bit pissed off because they were looking for who does the face painting. So I thought, fuck it, I know I'm gonna wind this guy up. So I sort of tapped the world famous Glenn Fabry on the shoulder and said, "Are you the guy who's doing the face painting?" And he's like, "No." It's like, "Yeah, you are." So yeah, he'd like to be Hulk. He'd like to be Spider Man, and I just yeah, he's like, "This is the world famous Glenn Fabry." I'm like, he's the cover artist for Preacher. I went, "He'd be brilliant at face painting then." He wondered, "Oh yeah, I'll do it when I was going to get some facts," and then wandered off. I didn't see him again. Anyway,
None of your kids wanted to be Preacher. None of them want to be the
Jesse.
vampire.
Oh, Cassidy, not yet. Anyway, moving on.
Um, okay, number three, night owl or early bird?
Night Owl, absolutely.
Yeah, we
Tried
do.
tried early bird. They're just very odd, weird human beings, frankly.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no disrespect
But the
intended.
thing is, though, I think, everyone needs to embrace this because I also say to people, you don't need to be an early bird to be successful. There's way too many people in business being like, you need to get up at 5 a.m. to be successful. I'm like, no, you don't. You just need to get the work done, whatever time of day suits you.
Yeah. Oh, the 5 a.m. club. Have
Yeah.
you personally? I've looked at the 5 a.m. club. Not one single person in there I want to have a beer with. So I'm quite happy not being in the 5 a.m. bedtime club. That's a club I want to be in. In fact, no, I'm already in that.
I mean, I get up well, I don't. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I wait for my tea to be delivered and then I get out of bed at whatever time that comes. It might be 5, it might be 5:30, but you would have a beer with me. No, you wouldn't because I don't really drink, but
Yeah, I'd have a beer with you. But then you'd fall asleep.
yeah, no, 9 p.m. I'm
Mm.
done.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Sorry. Hard to get these evening chats in because I'm like, I need to do the bedtime routine soon.
You're
But
doing very well.
thank you. Thank
9 o'clock,
you.
you're like,
Yeah, yeah, literally I get off this call and I'm like, where's my bedtime brew? Get me a Horlicks, get my
oh,
slippers on, I need darkness.
do you feel a hot EC coming on? Anyway.
Number four, obvious question, Apple or Android?
Apple.
It's not even a
Not
question.
not for any. Yeah, I do like them. I think they've annoyed me a bit because they've closed everything down and they've kind of gone against what they were once. But at the end of the day, it's great kit. It works. Yeah, and I tried Android phones and it's a whole kind of zigzaggy thing to get into it. It's just way too confusing.
Yeah, we've actually got a disused, and this is really sad. I'm just going to put the dust off it. This is an Android phone that sits on the desk here. And it was a really great idea because it's a Fairphone. You can replace all of the parts on it, but it was absolutely useless. And I was like, this is such a great idea, but I think it needs about 5 gens. And when that's good, we'll go back to Android because then it's a great idea because it's ecologically and ethically sound. But until then, it's a fucking useless brick. So fix it. Number five, PlayStation or Xbox?
PlayStation, PlayStation. I was Gen 1 PlayStation. PlayStation came before the Xbox, and unfortunately, back then it's like, I was poor. So I couldn't afford to have a PlayStation and an Xbox. And Bill Gates was still very much involved with Microsoft at the time, and I didn't like Microsoft. So still have this strange kind of dislike of Xbox. It's in my house, it's there
I
spying
mean,
on me.
it was the natural progression because it was Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah.
That was a great thing. And then it was PlayStation. And then when the kind of like Xbox and all that, it was just a thing of choice because all the games were the same. And the control of the Xbox was so dumb that I was like, you need 3 hands to play this.
The dumbest controller was a Nintendo 64.
That was a dumb
So it
controller.
had that bit, that thing in the, it's like the bit in the middle
Yeah,
that
yeah.
nobody used. Looked like a trimaran. It's like, what the no one that stick in the middle. No one ever used it. It's like it's just pointless.
No,
But
I remember when they first brought out the joysticks on the PlayStation though, and I was like, I ain't using those. And I remember then first playing Call of Duty, and you had to use those, and I was like, no, my guy's just spinning around. And I'm a dentist. I have manual dexterity. I can't use these.
yeah, but there's this house is filled with we've got Isaac's got a PlayStation 5, and I the problem with gaming, I do enjoy it, but it's time consuming. So I
Yeah.
literally, if I'm going to play a game, I'm using my PSP, my 2006 PlayStation Portable. Still
Mm,
works. I
yeah.
use that because I can just jump in, jump out quick, as opposed to waiting for the entire. I mean, they're beautiful to look at, but yeah, that ship's sailed.
Yeah, there's other stuff I want to do with my life, and Crash Bandicoot was it. It's like
Yeah,
a peak there and that's it. Tekken and Crash Bandicoot, you don't need anything more. Um, number 6, what's your favorite movie?
my favorite movie. I love film, so I have lots of them. But if you're asking what's the one that I will always go back to
Mm.
and like watch over and over and over again and enjoy it as much as the thousandth time as much as the first one, absolutely it's The Empire Strikes Back.
Do you know what? I didn't think you were going to say that, but I can totally understand why you do.
What did you think I'd say?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's The
I
Empire.
didn't think it would be anything as like I didn't think it would be Top Gun. I didn't think it would be anything as obvious as that.
No,
But yeah.
they're all too late. So the thing with I suppose Empire Strikes Back is it was released 1980. So I was 10. I was no, I wasn't 10. I was 6. So it's one of the first movies. I remember obviously. I remember going to the cinema to see Star Wars. I remember being there, but I remember the film. But Empire Strikes Back is the first one film that I kind of remember watching, remember
Yeah.
really loving because I actually understood what was happening. I could watch it, I
Yeah.
really engaged with it, and it was it had all of the different parts of it, and yeah, it's just still I still absolutely love that film. Might even watch it later on.
Do you know
It's
what? I watched the original trilogy of Star Wars like over and over again as a kid, early morning, because I was in the 5 a.m. club since I was about 6. So I get up and I watch like a Star Wars film every weekend. And
mm.
when the new ones came out, they just weren't the same. And it
They're
wasn't.
not they're not for they're my kids love the prequels.
Nah, it's not for me.
Because it's their generation, whereas mine it's like that film's got everything. They're on the run for the whole thing. Vader's a proper badass in that one. Killing people left and right. He's even killing his own men.
It's brilliant. I love
Yeah,
it.
cracking
And I
film.
think, you can't get away from the effects being pretty good for the time. It's not like Jason and the Argonauts when you watch that back now. Like, that's just appalling. When you watch Star Wars, it kind of hasn't dated so bad.
You can't diss Ray. That's Ray Harryhausen. I won't have a bad word said about Ray Harryhausen.
Well, all right,
Like
Jack.
without Ray Harryhausen, you don't have Star Wars. You don't have Jurassic Park. You don't
So
have.
that's fine. Go out for a beer with my dad for that one, okay? Cool.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I know. You could both just sit there and bash me. Number 7. What's the song that you rock out to? I don't know the answer to this.
Song that I rock out to. There are a couple. I think um, Hendrix Voodoo Child absolutely nailed on. That's not turning that up really really loud when Amy's not in. Um, and blasting that out is brilliant. But also there's a Smashing Pumpkins song called Soma, Soma, which I really love because it's got like one of the best fucking guitar drops in history. Just it's really beautiful mellow build up, and then you just get this avalanche of sound, and it kind of teases you because it's quite quiet, so you turn it up, and then when the guitar drop hits, it just fucking blows everything. And I absolutely love that. So it's probably those two, Pumpkins. Um, I rock out to most stuff with a guitar, to be fair.
Well, that does not come as a surprise. You're a
Yeah.
bearded man wearing some jewelry and a lot of black. So we all knew that. It was never going to be Aqua Barbie Girl, was it? Um,
Wheatfield.
Again, number 8, obvious question. Sun or snow?
Son,
Yeah, clear.
I don't understand winter sports. I've tried them, and no, I don't.
What
Honestly,
about,
I don't get it.
what about winter sports that are not in snow? So, like for me, right, no, hear me out. Winter sports in the UK. So, winter sports, the main one I'm thinking about that I love is cyclocross. But you've got other stuff in there, like doing trail stuff, like muddy, boggy, come home brown.
Yeah, all right. I mean, okay, so if in that case, well, rugby. I played rugby for 20
There
odd years.
you go, winter
So,
sport.
right, yeah, it's a sport played during the winter,
Yeah.
but it's not a winter sport. So, like, skiing, snowboarding. I wanted to like them. Don't get me wrong. I've been snowboarding a few times, and I just don't enjoy it. Yeah, I pay
Yeah.
loads of money to get on us to have a ski pass that takes me to the bar.
That is the thing, is that I've never been skiing, and everyone keeps going, "Oh, you'd love it, you'd love it." And I go, "Yeah, but you know what's a really expensive thing to find out I don't love if I go, isn't it? I'd rather go to somewhere hot and sunny in the summer." But there we go.
But
Um,
then, if I was, if we ever get out to New Zealand, Queenstown, I've heard tale of this little gem in South Island, New Zealand, Queenstown. I've been there once. It was summertime, but apparently for winter sports, it's epic. So,
well, maybe I
yeah.
just want to try
Mm.
that. Now number 9. What's your favorite ice cream?
Neapolitan. That's easy.
Yeah, your kid's favorite as well, but they eat
Yeah,
all the.
it's three ice creams in one, and when you smush them together, it has a very unique taste.
Stop smashing your ice cream, sir. You.
Mush, you know, it's got a unique taste. Problem is, in my house with
Yeah.
kids, I never get Neapolitan ice cream. I get but most of the time I get strawberry ice cream, right? Which out of all of them is the worst flavor. It tastes like plastic. But
That's why they leave it.
yeah, that's why they leave it. So they'll eat the chocolate, then they'll eat the vanilla, and they'll go to them like, "What the fuck?"
I
So
actually, my mum occasionally would buy Neapolitan ice cream, thus my love affair with ice cream started. And I always did exactly the same. It was only me and her in the house, so she just had to eat the strawberry because who else is going to eat it? And we're poor,
yeah,
we can't afford to buy any more.
I think one day my children will move out, and one day I'll go to the freezer, and there'll all be all three flavors of chocolate, flavors of ice cream there.
And then do you get the scoop and you serve it from like,
Scoop
so you
across,
cross the.
yeah, across all three. Yeah,
Okay,
stick it in a little cone. Sweet.
okay.
2 scoops if I'm feeling it's a treat day.
Exotic.
Yeah.
Um, Number 10, what's your go-to business book?
Um, my go-to business book. Well, it'll be the one I'm writing. That'll be the one I go to. Business book, Bollocks to the Algorithm, coming out early 2025.
Ooh,
Available at all bookstores near you, i.e., Amazon. That'll be that one. But the book, I suppose, there's a couple that have had a big impact on how I think and work. And one is Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by
great
Stephen Covey. That's been a kind of, if you've ever read it, you'll see elements of that book in how I work, in what I say, how I work, things that we talk about. If you've not read it, it's not it's a hard going. It's not kind of an easy one to pick up and smash through. But it's worth persevering with. It'll give you a lot of insight. And I suppose the other one, this was probably three, but Dan Priestley's Oversubscribed.
Mhm.
That helped a lot because that really painted the picture of launching, how you create demand. That's one thing that Dan Priestley's really, really good at, is how do you stimulate demand. So you go to, you want to go test market demand. Well, if market demand isn't there, or you can't see it, how do you stimulate it? How do you? And that book, Oversubscribed, is really, really good about that. And it just kind of, tells very, very simple stories. Like, when people are creatures of, we creatures of habit. And if you go to a market store and you've got two selling coffee, and one's got a queue a mile long and there's no one in front of that one, which one are you going to go for? The one with the queue, right? Why? Because your perception is that it's better. Is the perception correct? Who knows?
I mean, I'm always the one that tries the other one because I can't be asked to wait. I don't care how good.
Oh yeah, I'm not queuing.
No.
No.
I hate queues. I'm fucking hate queues.
Yeah, I'm not queuing. I'm going to. How shit is your coffee? It's not bad. Well, I'll do. So,
Did you get out of a muddy puddle? No, right, I'll drink it. Fine.
Yeah. And let's do, yeah, I mean, Stephen Covey definitely is the one I always flick back to,
Mm.
um, just because there's so much wisdom in it. Um, yeah,
I think of it more as I have that book and it kind of lives under my bed, weirdly.
mm.
Um, because I kind of see it's a bit like a kind of life Bible, really. And it was nice to have the hard copy. I would recommend if anyone's going to read it, get the hard copy of it. There it is, dog-eared and
So
used.
dog-eared and used, but it's got
Mm.
my notes in it. What is that?
Still a palm tree. There we go.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna read. I'll read sort of very, very quickly. This one is one of in here in the book. He asks you to write your mission statement in his principles. So this is dated. I think this is April 2011.
Mhm.
So I did. This is just the summer I left out. I left Allegan. And my notes are Richard's mission statement, just in case I forgot who it was. My principles. 15th of April 2011. Live a healthy life. Learn two new skills every day. Be inspirational. Help others to grow and develop. I think I've stayed pretty close to those.
I was going to say, if you wrote that now, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think I stayed pretty close to those. So my core principles have never changed, and that's one of the big things I got from this book is it helped me to define who I am, who I wanted to be, and I haven't really deviated that from that in 13 years, 14 years. That's
Yeah.
pretty powerful.
Yeah, no, I think everyone should read it. I think it's a business book. I think it's a life book. I think it's a life and business changing book. So everyone needs to read that and have a copy of it somewhere, knocking around. And finally, and this is always a great note to finish on, what is the best bit of advice that you've ever received?
Best bit of advice I've ever received. Well, never eat yellow snow.
You don't go anywhere snowy, you hate it. So
That's
that's
true.
pointless advice.
Yeah. Um, it's fantastic because I've had lots of good advice. I've had lots of really great mentors, actually. I've been quite lucky in that instance. Um, but I think the advice that I've had that stuck with me the most is I got when I was 17. And it was from a chief petty officer in the Navy. And it was once I finished your kind of part one training, you get this kind of little bit of a debrief, and you sit there. And you sort of went through. It's like, you've got everything it takes to be a very, very successful Matlow young man. I was like, oh, that's quite nice. And he said this, and it stuck in me. He says, "But you remember this: is the Navy is like life. It gives you nothing for nothing. Take what you can when you can." And that's stuck with me all the time. It gave me weirdly, it gave me an acceptance of risk, healthy risk. Take what you can when you can. You get nothing for nothing. And he was absolutely right. You can't just sit and wait for life to give you things. It just doesn't work that way. You've got to put in, and I think when I don't do that, when I see people not doing that, it kind of frustrates me a little bit. But that's probably that's the bit of advice that's I've carried through my life, and I'll pass it on, and I'll carry it through to whoever forever.
I really like that. And I love listening to people's best bits of advice because I feel like if I collect all of these things, and I do, and I collect them, you've got kind of a good life advice book. Maybe I'll publish them someday and attribute them to everybody, and it'll be a lovely little coffee table book.
I think we should collect everybody's 10 most important questions
Yeah,
and
that would be
publish
great.
and publish a book based on it.
Why haven't we done this yet?
Because we haven't got enough 10 people, 10 famous because you've got to find someone famous, and like
Oh,
Arnold.
I can ask loads of people that. Look at me, I'm dead cute. I can just rock into someone's inbox. Please, will you answer my 10 questions
10
mentioned? What
questions,
do you think
please.
my favorite ice cream is, please?
Oh yeah, yeah, good luck. Yeah, you find Tom Hardy and ask him his 10 questions. Good luck with that. He looks, he's very pretty, but I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he looks a bit grumpy.
I have never yet not yet cracked a grumpy person. Honestly, swear to God, I'm great at it. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only RCS.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed that. That
Um,
was quite interesting.
Well, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Thanks for coming to the interview and answering your own questions. Did you spot the one I threw in?
Ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream is very important to me, as you know. So there we are. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the little grill session that you had there. I know you were quite nervous about it, but
Oh,
thank
it was cool. That turned into a nice little podcast episode. I'm just kind of reading through
all of
people's
the answers.
answers. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. I'm glad. Thank you for playing along, guys. It's really interesting.
Well, also, Lisa's just put here in terms of the advice. Richard Crawford Small, when I was feeling insecure at a conference years ago, they don't pay your fucking mortgage. Get out there. So there you go.
Yeah, little nugget of wisdom, that one. There we go.
Full of them.
Cool. Right. Thank you for taking the time today, Steve. I appreciate that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I look forward to hearing that very soon on a podcast near you, us,
Will
and
do.
also our coffee table book that we shall now publish.
Yeah, 10 most important questions in the world.
Yeah, important.
Let's make it happen.
Will do.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Nice. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.